All right. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you checking out some What Was That Radio things. And sorry, it's a bit strange. I can't really see where you're at. What with this gigantic logo. Today I had a brilliant and insanely flipping. Is there any way we can just change? Can we just? Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Hi. Anyway, my name's John. I'm the owner operator. Can we please? It's a bit. Anyway, I had an incredible conversation today with Kid Kapichi, in particular the two members, Ben and George. We spoke about This Time Next Year, which to me is a clinical record, an incredible debut from the lads from Hastings, and one of the most exciting modern rock bands on this planet we call Earth, to me, Kid Kapichi. And this is just such a wonderful conversation that zigzags through giant, unnecessarily big logos. It's a really no, come on. Can we just? Okay, here's the conversation. Thanks for more information. Go to whatwasthatradio.com, radio podcast, Arts Academy. And I know it's too late now. It's too late now. Just run it. Oh, I hear beers cracking.
Yeah. Hello. Let me just get the old video started. Actually, 1 second.
Step by step.
Mate, that is a funky room,
wow, man. That's a beautiful piece of art you got back there, man.
That's all my partner Jody. Let me just quickly sort out the view of you two. Hello to Ben and George in the old Twitch setup here on OBS.
Ben,
George, yeah.
All right, where is my?
Mate, look at our measly little plant back here. Look at all of your goods, man.
What kind of fish have you got in there, man?
There's a lot to take in, especially when you're in the middle of a tour and potentially a little bit hungover and getting ready for another day.
All I've seen is a van for as far as I can remember. So this is
straight up. Wow.
Well, my partner Jodie, who's upstairs watching, she loves that 70s aesthetic and the warm gold and browns of way back. So I mean, I've got two cameras set up, one for the stream, so it's more tight, and then for you guys, you've got the Logitech that's just the whole fucking room. So all Harley's books. Harley is 7 years old. There's all his favorite books there. Some of the record collection. The rest are in the kitchen. We got some classic neons. You know, the classic light blue streak through the middle.
Yeah, man.
The artwork, which I can't remember where you got that from. Maybe she'll type that in the chat shortly.
The colours, man, all of them are just vibrant.
We could do a whole podcast just about this one room, I think.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's such a thrill to finally speak to you. I mean, I think that the first thing I'd like to do is play you a clip because, Ben, you were part of this with Jack a few years ago when I played you when I was working in commercial radio. Please do. Played the song Sardines. That is how I fell in love with this band. I mean, I think it's a song that speaks so brilliantly for the moment, for the lower and working class, and for the lack of conversation that people yearn to have. Like, hello, will you notice? Will you take notice? Will we fucking talk about us and how we wish to grow and move forward? And we're going to deep dive into that. But here's the voice note that you sent me to set up the play. I don't know if you remember this, and hopefully it plays through here. Let's go.
Hi, this is Jack.
You hear that?
I can hear it.
Okay, here we go. Here's you and Jack.
Hi, this is Jack.
And Ben from Kid Kapichi.
All the way from across the pond, from Britain, where everyone sounds like this.
Hello, mate. You got a lobster for me?
Yeah, 2 pints of crisp, darling, please.
Oh, good dear, sir.
I'll have 1 fish and 1 chip.
Yeah, I'll get a bacon sardine and a wrap in a back. Get on my pub. Get on the pub.
1 spot of cricket and 2 spots of rugby.
3 lines on a shirt.
Hey!
So there you go. I hope you've learnt a little bit about our hometown of England.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers for having us.
Cheers for having us.
Cheers.
Lots of love.
Good day. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Oh man, I tell you what, when we made that, we were deep in jingle territory. We were doing our lockdown lowdown podcast over the thing, and literally we were just banging out 5 jingles a day.
They are so good. They are so funny. You guys could do that for a living. If the band all goes to shit.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Do that,
jingle future, man.
It was one of my favorite voice notes ever. I mean, for me, there's a band out of Norway called Combos, who are this brilliant punk band, and a great starting point is their song Mad Beef. They're just rampant. And you and them sent me 2 of the quirkiest, the most authentic, and just fun-ridden, just so much fun. You could tell that you'd just been sat down and just shooting the shit, and there's nothing too scandalous here. Although the only thing I would pick at that is never in all the years that I lived in England before I moved here 11 ago because I'm originally from Malmesbury in Wiltshire in the southwest near Swindon. So I never ever sought lobster. So that's the only thing that catches me off guard in that little voice note.
Well, the thing, we were just plucking it from the ether at that moment. It was just, lobster suddenly, just kind of came into the mind, man. But for real, like, just before we even like getting going anything else, like, thank you so much for the support you've shown us, man. Like, having champions and having people playing your music, like outside of your whatever, like around the world is amazing. And I just want to say thank you very, very much for the support you have shown us, having us on this, whatever else. But yeah, genuinely, man, thank you.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, and thank you for the thank you. But it's because of your talent. It's because of what you four have crafted, and it's just so authentic. And it's for anyone that's watching this right now. I say this every flipping time, but it's we all are individuals that seek something that connects, and we've got our own bullshit meters. And the authenticity that I get from your band is why I love it so much. I don't sense there's any bullshit. There's no trying to be something for a purpose of fitting a narrative of the moment in and around the world and whatever we're talking about and whatever's plugging into algorithms. This is just four lads that are just stand and deliver rock and roll. And so that's why I think after that brilliant voice note that I could listen to 50, 60 times in a row and it wouldn't get old. It's not, I'm so fascinated by how this seems like four sets of friendships that run deep back into the early childhood. Where does Kid Kapichi start?
Mate, it goes back a long, long way. I mean, me and Eddie went to school together and went to school with Jack as well. And we used to start like jamming. In fact, food has arrived.
Oh yeah, one second. Someone just came to one second.
Yeah.
But
well, one of you could get the bloody food. Keep going, George.
So basically, goes back a long, long time. And yeah, we used to do a lot of jamming together in the music room, and then we met you at a party.
Yeah, that was it. Like, so we're all from Hastings, which is like really like madly musical place. Like we all kind of grown up knowing each other. Like Eddie and Jack and George went to school together and kind of like knew each other in various bands. You and Eddie were in a band when you were like 13.
Killing the Senses was the band that we were in.
I think it's still online, man. What a name!
To be fair with you, we were like 12, 13, man. We used to just like go like do so many gigs, and I mean that initial like foundation, like as a rhythm section, I feel like has helped, and the fact we've been playing together.
Mate,
for so
you
long,
guys are in each other's blood, man. Do you know what I mean? Like as a rhythm section, literally, like that comes from childhood, man. That's like you can't learn that later in life. You know what I mean? But we still listen to that stuff in the van, man. Like,
it's fun.
Really?
And anyway, so I met Jack then later down the line. I remember we were both at a party and we kind of crossed paths, and yeah, we just kind of like hang out that night. No more sort of like, there wasn't anything more than that. Like, you seem like a cool guy, you seem like a cool guy, blah, blah, blah. And then about, I don't know, 2 months later, he hit me up. He was doing a music project for school because we were all like young kids back then. And he was like, I've got to get a band together. That's the BTEC, that's the A-level thing. And basically, like, he was like, do you know anyone? I knew George, they all knew each other as well, but we got it together.
It was weird, like the actual like coming together, it was like, yeah, like I wasn't really playing with Jack, like, in the band that I was playing with you in. So it was like this whole thing, everyone knew each other. We're like, should we just fucking
get this together? And it really worked, man. And then, so anyway, to kind of like, well, there'll be more parts to this story later, but like then later down the line, Eddie like joined the band and became that. And that was in sort of like 2015, 2016. And like, that was a real moment when it was like, really locked in and felt like the beginning of like the truest sense of what we're doing now, what you experience and what you've heard. Like, so it's mad. I mean, I think one thing you can gather from that is that like Hastings, when we were young teenagers and kids, man, we were all in bands. We were all in just playing music.
We were gigging, man. Like we were like, it wasn't just like, okay, we're making songs in our room. We're like, we were out there like doing loads of gigs, like, and just having it out, like, and going back to Hastings, it's like there's so many different like people down there, like of all types, you know what I mean, like young and old. So we would just be like learning from a lot of other people at the same time. So it's a lot of stuff to kind of take from, you know what I mean, when you're making music.
One thing you said earlier about how it's not like what we've done necessarily, and it's not just, this doesn't just go for us, but it doesn't seem influenced by kind of like what's hot or whatever. Like where we're from, like that was never a thing. Like there's no ego in Hastings. Every different type of gig, every genre, everyone's at the gig, all connected by loving watching music and stuff. So like, you know, whereas a band who might have come together in like London or whatever, like they're looking around going, oh, that's what's popular now, we should be more like that, and then next week we should be like that. We didn't have any of that.
Don't get us wrong, like, sorry, we're going in. Don't get us wrong. Like, the influences, like, you know, we've all got so many different influences, but it did take us a long time to find like what Kid Kapichi is now, you know, and that journey was one of being like, okay, we like this kind of stuff, you know. So everyone, I think, needs to go through those things.
100%.
It's a magic moment when you figure this is our sound. You know what I mean? Like
we tell that because we made the first record like in the lockdown. There's parts of it that have been made by other producers, but essentially like the lion's share of it, the main body of it, when the lockdown hit, we were literally like, okay, either we sink or we swim, let's figure it out. I kind of like looked on YouTube, learned about the kind of mixing and vibes like that, but we always have all been on production, you know what I'm saying? Like in terms of arrangement, in terms of what things should sound like. This
guy, man, like he's like, you've come such a long way. It's really wicked to see, like, you know, like.
But anyway, sorry, wasn't even trying to say that. All I'm trying to say is we also produce other young bands, and when you're talking to those young bands, talking about, you know, crafting your sound, it's important that if people do listen to you, they understand it's a journey to get there. It's not like your first day you get in a room and pick up guitars, you're writing the best music you've ever written. It's like bands kind of want that sometimes. You've got to tell young bands, like, you got to write, probably, unless you're some of the greats, you know, like you got to write a lot of shit that might not be that good to get to the end result, you know what I mean? So that's definitely what it's been like for us, and we're just glad to have someone like yourself coming through and being like, I like that music that you come to in your journey, nice, you know?
Yeah, do you know what? It shows. And breathe. I fucking love.
Sorry.
I love
your question.
It does, and it's awesome. It's above and beyond. There is no such thing as ramble. There is no answer too long in a conversation with me. I love it, and I love the passion, and I'm so excited, and I'm just, after 2 years of shooting backwards and forwards, Instagrams and emails through 3 or 4 of you in the band, it's such a thrill to now soak in this energy, because this is exactly what I knew it was going to be. No matter how tired you were, from the way that you've shown yourself on social media, you guys you're in it. You're in every single moment, every day. There are 3 things from your response there, Ben, that I'd like to dive into. Number 1 is that, to me, Jack seems like the kind of fella that even when he was 14 was walking around like he was 60. Hold the thought. Number 2, the self-production and self-learning. I'm getting pointed because I'm getting passionate, but I've spent the last year, when I stepped out of commercial radio, seeking growth. That is the main point of stepping away from an incredible career that had me locked in and safe and secure. But my family lost everything when I was a teenager, and I'm not scared of failing. And I'm worried about growth and moving forward. The number 1 thing I found myself doing the last 12 months is so many YouTube tutorials. Thank you. I've said it in every conversation I've had with bands the last 2 weeks, every single one, from Soft Cult to your friends in Calvin Louise to the Howlers yesterday to Sophisticated Dingo that say hello and love your sound from Australia. It's been the number 1 thing that's come up, is that YouTube brilliance of everything's on there to learn. The third thing, the third thing is, you've just shown in a nutshell exactly the transparency of how you go about things. I love, there's something to be said. I was speaking about this with Adam Young from the Howlers yesterday, in that it is okay for individuals to compliment, to be confident, and to pat themselves on the back for their growth and their abilities and what they've achieved. I love the fact that, you know, this is what human nature does. It's also a very awkward English thing I've found, where it's hard to compliment each other sometimes. And George compliments you and you're like, oh, well, fuck, I was trying to get to this point. But milk that in, you know, because there's a reason why you're being kind towards me. There's a reason why I'm being kind towards you. There's a connection that we can see there of intrigue and respect. And I love the passion that's seeping out right now.
Thank you, brother. Man. Thank you. I mean, mate, like, going back to first point, when we all first like started linking up, like, Jack was a full-on mod, man. So I'm saying, like, Lambretta, Parker, he had the foxtail on the back.
He was like head of this, like, sick, like, on the bikes. There's a picture of him just like with like hundreds of people, like, it's
hundreds of mods behind him, like leading him to Brighton, man. And it was like, you know what I mean? He was definitely like, he's always had a look, you know what I mean, in a good sense, like a real like strong.
He's had a good belt. He's always had a good belt, man. I need to upgrade my belt game, man. He's had
I wear the same belt to work as I do to gigs, man. That's the trouble with it. And like me and G-Mac were underneath floorboards the other day. We're about that much above our heads, like screwing in insulation and stuff. And I was thinking, just take the old belt off, put it in the pinstripe trousers, get on stage.
That was serious. That was
Need another belt, man.
So how we digress the belts.
Sorry.
No, I love it. I mean, it's kind of a power stance. I love the fact that you're describing Jack as a sort of like Bugsy Malone archetype.
Yeah, it was, man.
You know,
it was.
Come on, get the small Uzis. We're going in, you know. But he's always had that sort of strength of character. Any man, for me, any man or woman that can stand there and wear a belt around right underneath their chest with that kind of confidence is someone that I'm going to follow. I'm just going to follow him.
That's it. That and a sort of bolo tie, maybe. Like,
yeah.
But like, man, as well. Like, okay, point number 2. YouTube as a resource, man, is like it. It sounds like you've gone through the same thing yourself over lockdown. The first time you realize it, you're suddenly like, hang on a fucking minute. There's nothing I can't learn to do on this website, and I'm not going to get shown by someone who knows it perfect.
Yeah.
And like, it is a mad resource.
You've done so, like gonna praise my friend again.
G-Mac had to juggle on.
I did. I'll
show you that in a bit. We've got the juggling balls next to
it.
Okay.
But like, you've used it like the right way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's different for a lot of people. But when I've gone onto that, like, you have to dedicate yourself to these videos, and like it's like going to like a proper fucking lesson. You know what I mean? So. But like, yeah, that has been.
What were you learning? Were you doing music production on YouTube as well, or were you learning other stuff?
No, I mean, so for me, in launching the radio station and all in and around it, yes, it's online and it's very different to your commercial and AM, FM, but it was just the basics of Photoshop. It was diving into Premiere Pro stuff. It was just the creative side of it, you know. And you, if you were to, no, you can't look back because it's all been archived now, but. If you do remember when you were tagged in what was that 2 years ago, and that was when I was still at the commercial station and it was like the Sunday evening new music exposure show, you compare the artwork from then to now, it's gone from like, I think the tag I've been saying the last few chats is that you would look at it a year ago and go, oh, cute. Did like an 8-year-old make this when they were first opening up a TikTok account, you know? And now you look at it and you're like, this looks, I mean, for those that are watching on Twitch right now, this is a night and day compared to where it was last year. It's just far more smooth, but that's just from putting time in. You know, for me, as for anyone that does design work, this is going to make them chuckle because the breakthrough moment for me was learning how to nail a gradient, just a gradient, because then that gives you a base to create the rest of your tone and your art over the top of it. And so for me, just that one gradient lifted a basic looking website to, oh, I think I look fucking semi-professional now, you know? Mate, it's just a gradient.
Man, trust.
Yeah, it's like, it's mad though as well. Like, it's liberating as hell. Like, you know, I think, you know, a lot of bands, I think one of the biggest sort of like things you can do to maintain agency and power within your own sort of independent selves. Like, you know what I mean? If you want to hold out before you work with a label or whatever, blah, making your own record is the thing that is like, if you can do that, you can go a long way still independently because you're not relying on anyone else for that. No one's going to work as hard as us four on doing that record. No one's going to put all the hours in. I just said that, but you know what I mean? Like, even if you get left, like we know bands who've been dropped and stuff like that, which happens, you know what I mean? It happens. And it's not a death sentence, but particularly with this band, it's like they could make their own record. So they made their next album themselves and they just powered on going, and it wasn't like anything like a death sentence like it kind of could be. So I think, like if there are, you know what I mean? And like you said, mate, so you can do it. It's like, there's no secret. That's what you realize when it's all on YouTube. You're like,
anyone can, you know what I mean? If they dedicate themselves enough, like anyone can do it. Like
100%.
Yeah. I'd take a moment here to shout out the wonderful souls that are with us and watching right now. I'm going to go through the usernames, the likes of, what was that, Trucker Steve. Thank you, Steve, for coming across and creating a Twitch account just a few moments before we started. And you called it, what was that, Radio Trucker Steve? I mean, you're fucking right on brand, mate.
Drum roll.
Six Flags Magic Mountain, Lurks. I love that name because that's what you're doing right now, you cheeky lurker. Liz Walker, Ladybug the Third or ×3, Kitten Rescue, Jody, my partner upstairs, Bush Queen 101, Boopa Doopy, that's my best friend. Oh, do you know Bush Queen?
Yeah, that's Zoe.
Awesome. And there's Boopa Doopy, my best friend over in Gloucester watching, and there's Baron Baranora Dover. Baranora Dover. Yeah, I'm just going to say Dover. Another TV viewer as well. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Bush Queen says, hello, lads. And don't feel, guys, that you can't get involved in the chat. Look, to be frank, this is my 3rd ever broadcast on twitch.tv/whatwasthat.tv. So please do feel, what was that radio, rather? Please do feel.
We love the live stream, man.
Anyone in the chat, you know, George, over the lockdown as well, in our town of Hastings.
I was like a presenter on a show, which was like with this girl, Lily, that I know. And yeah, we did 5 days a week, like daily, like positive news, like, hey everybody, yeah. Like obviously, like we'd end up just drinking like a bottle of wine for the first, like, do you know what I mean? The first 2 months we were just like, okay. But yeah, it was mad. Went out on a boat, fishing, interviewing a fisherman for 7 hours.
Pure 7 hours of straight live stream content, man. That
no
is
way. Where is that?
Keeping it fresh. What are you doing now?
In Hastings.
Yeah, I'm still fishing.
No.
Yeah,
But where?
I'd be asking him. So, and what's this then? He'd be like, yeah, this is a rope, and we're putting it in the. You know what I mean? It was a wicked experience. But,
Yeah, but where does that live, or is that data gone? Where?
That's on Facebook, man.
Yeah.
That's
I deleted Facebook a year and a half ago. I'm never going back.
I'll send you it.
Do you know what, man? I've been on that flex quite a lot as well, man. Like I've literally I've really been on social media as much. And like, I mean, you tell us how your experience is, mate. For me, like obviously there's a certain amount you participate within it through the bank because it's a beautiful tool in that sense. But I think when you go down that personal route of it, it can end up eating you up, especially Facebook. Man.
It's a big issue, I think, actually at the minute. Like,
yeah, man.
It's like
how's it affected you, man? Not being on it.
Well, quickly, Liz Walker said in chat, this interview is on fire. Glad there's a fire extinguisher behind Ben. Is there one behind you? Oh, there is one behind you. There we go.
We knew there might be some flames.
Thing is, like, there was a part of me that's a bit like, should we shoot it? But I think probably not.
What was it that you Instagrammed me? You said, the boys will give you a good show. Don't worry, wink emoji.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I didn't realize you were going to go to the extent of getting some juggling balls and a fucking flamethrower. But thank you.
Them on fire if you want, man. Let's see how far we can take this shit.
That's in Act 2. Man. That's in Act 2. We'll have ice creams and intermission before then, man.
So to answer your question, actually, this is going to get quite poignant because for me, one of the biggest things when I decided to leave commercial radio, one of the hardest parts of that was the sense of leaving community, and that I had an incredible chance to work with some incredibly talented people that I learned a lot from, that are part of the reason why I felt the confidence and the gravitas in the first place to do this in launching my own independent situation. And social media, yes, as you're alluding to there, Ben, it's a massive part of the wheel of communication and in connecting with that community of followers for your band, for your show, whatever it might be, any medium from restaurant to fucking band and everything else. So at the same time, social media has got such a grip on consciousness that people feel that if it's removed, you are dead. And that seems macabre. It seems crazy. But when I first said on Facebook, I'm going to shut this shit down, and it's nothing against anyone. This isn't verbatim what I said. I can't even remember verbatim what it was, but I know it was at least 2 or 3 paragraphs. It's got to go because it's more often than not a negative experience. More often than not, I am scrolling monotonously for hours and I am learning nothing but self-anger and self-concern and self-reflection on things I don't like, that I don't really want to be in. That's not to say that I don't want to be privy to or converse about civil unrest or police violence or whatever it might be in the middle. But there are, sadly, an awful lot of negative connections and conversations that go down, especially on Facebook. So I found, let's step back. And if I'm going to launch a new station, maybe this will actually be a good way of completely doing what I want to do, because I only opened a Facebook account when I moved to Canada because I needed to do it contractually to build with the station, to access the station's social media, etc. And I was very fortuitous, I might add, to gain 15,000 followers across Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's combined. That blew my mind. I'd spent years and years trying to get into radio, and then this city took to me so quickly. And I would say that only in my 7th year on the air was I making consistently grounded and solid shows. And so to get that support for all that time and to build that base of connection, I thought, when I go and launch this, and sorry, George, you have to give me about 2 more minutes because I get a bit talky, verbal diarrhea.
Please.
But I thought, okay, if you look at that, then I've got 15,000 people. What I'm doing with What Was That is not born to reach millions and millions. It's born out of a lust to grow. It's born out of a wish to highlight more bands that excite me to others that might be a similar mind frame of searching modern rock. And crucially, everything that I earn through subscribers and donations is split 50-50. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's not changing the system. But what that does is, much like I've done with you guys, in this very bag here is one of 4 contest packs.
Oh.
This is one of 4 contest packs that have got your signed debut album in it.
Yeah, I can confirm those are our signatures.
That is it.
Yes, they are. And because one of the things that What Was That does is, with the money that's split 50-50 with the foundation, is I turn to independent bands like Kapichi, like Calvin Louise, like Soft Cult, like Pompoko, like Combos, like Sophisticated Dingo. I could go on and on and on. And I say, look, I want to buy records or merch from you to give away to those that have supported me as a contest in the subscription community. And for listeners that maybe haven't joined the subscription yet, it puts more money in your pockets, it cancels out the middleman, and it helps us grow. It in turn builds a relationship between Kid Kapichi and me in this instance that leads to, as Liz Walker said, a fire conversation 10 minutes ago. And so my point being, in summary, to get to the end of that context and set up aside, is that when I said I'm done with Facebook, people messaged me, and I'm talking over 1,000 people, and said,
Whoa.
Are you insane? Are you mentally stable? Are you okay? Because the thought of you leaving this says to me that you are fucked up. And that's how fucked up the situation is that it's such a crutch.
100, man. It becomes such, like you said it earlier, it's got a hold on consciousness. I think, like you just said, man, like when you're using it as a tool to be a conduit of positivity, like you do with music, like we do with music, whatever else, it's good. But the whole thing about it is that, like, when you're using it in a personal sense, like those algorithms prey on like what we are. They like understand what we are, and really fundamentally we are anxious. We come from anxious beings. Like that's what we evolved from. We have those anxieties. It will exploit everything that you want and that you are. And it's not a place where people go to have their thoughts challenged or have what they. It's a place that gives you what you want, and what you want ain't always what's good.
But like you said about the anxieties, it's like that is a natural thing. Like it's a natural feeling to feel like, you know, like you want to be like, goes back to like ancient times. You know what I mean? But it's like this ridiculous amount of stuff overloading those sensations that are natural. That it's just like
more than we can handle. More than we're designed to handle.
Man.
You know? What I said the other day, I think we had this conversation the other day, and we were saying that like the one thing that is really dangerous and that we didn't experience and neither have you is growing up with it. You know, is being at school age with it, because like
your
probably
brains
when
are
we were
developing
like
them, man.
when we were like 16 is when like Bebo was there. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait, how old are you guys? How old are you guys?
28.
I'm 26.
Okay, well, I'm 34. Bebo, that's fucking hysterical. Adorable. Back to you, Ben. Yeah.
But no, but precisely that. Like,
Bebo used to cut me deep, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Even like we're going back then, I would literally be like,
I've got enough love.
you know, I'd like be posting like, oh God, it's mad how it gets you.
But sort of, you know, like now you've literally got these very well developed, very purposefully designed to be addictive things given to kids who have no context, which we don't even make. The adults go crazy off it. It doesn't matter if you're 50 or 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
But particularly the first thing you're seeing in your lifespan is this thing that takes a hold on you. And no wonder, you know what I mean? You have people growing up with huge anxieties, huge, like, you know, it's too much for even us to take on, let alone children.
When you get that realization, it's just like, man, sorry, I'm just having a massive life.
Right? Well, that's what it does. It blows your mind into 1,000 pieces to try and dissect.
It's always a difficult line to tread because, of course, we use it. And I think it's all about how you participate in it. If it's something that you need to use, and like you said, there are positive ways to use it. There are most certainly positive outcomes from it. We've seen that over the last couple of years, like, you know, political movements of all different types.
But it's funny because they all kind of like, everything starts existing because of that. Do you know what I mean? Like
it becomes the thing, you know. But I don't know. I think one thing about today is, like, these days is people want simple answers to increasingly complex issues. And for instance, like if someone put a piece of paper in front of you and went, is social media 100% good or 100% bad? It's like, you could have an opinion on that, and we've just clearly shown what we want to tick. But really, you couldn't say that without saying the opposite. And there aren't that many simple answers to stuff, and that's why information is very important now, and that's why independent information is as well. It's like yourself, man. You've gone off and done something independently so that you have control. I think, I don't want to speak for you, but so that you can have full control over what it is you transmit, you know, and that's because information is important, and, you know what I mean, you care about it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, Ben, early on in the first few months, when I had some amazing people, and many of them are watching right now, that would offer support in terms of, oh, I've noticed on your website that, can I see the back end of it? I think with some of your coding, you're not searchable in this realm. And I would send it off to a fellow called Jordan in our community. He sent me back a 30-page document on how I could improve my website. Jeremy Kerr would give me business plans, become a massive friend of mine and subscriber of the community, in giving me business advice on how to grow and expand. All Josiah, to his help, my partner Jody upstairs, with everything since day one. Everything has gone through me, verbal diarrhea, throwing ideas at her and helping me with artistically, to algorithms, to every step of the way. But in that early first 3-6 months, I was saying no. And initially I was concerned, does it seem rude that I'm pushing them away? And I was searching desperately for why am I giving such a quick getaway? No, thank you. And it's because, yes, selfishly, I wanted to trip over. Just let me trip 100 times, because I want to get up and dust down and fucking learn. I got to trip. Let me trip. Let me fall in the mud, wash my face off, do it again tomorrow. And that is the only way. Like yesterday, I was devastated, you two, and I didn't want to mention this, but I will now, because I'm so fucking buzzed from our chat so far. The chat I had with Adam Young of the Howlers yesterday, for me, such an exciting modern rock band from just a few hours across from where you are. I mean, they're down in Portsmouth right now. Such an incredible chat for 2 hours. And I've been doing this for 15 years in one way or another, and I didn't fucking record it. And I was devastated. Devastated. I was so in the moment. I was so in the moment with you guys. I only hit record 10 minutes ago, but the whole thing's being backed up on Twitch, so we're okay. But yesterday, I forgot when I set up a new Twitch channel that I hadn't ticked the box to say, oh, please save my VODs. So that one was lovely in the moment, gone, cherish it. But, and it was a real...
It happens, man. We all make mistakes. That is heartbreak. I do hear you, man.
And it was worrying me. And I was like a big baby a few hours ago, like, damn, Twitch support have emailed me back and said we can't get it when I know it's on their server, but it's the bot, right? We're all talking to bots. I'm asking to speak to a human. The universe will deal with it. I'll either get it or I won't. But what I have got that's the most important.
You got to trust in the universe, man.
The most important thing I've got is that new friendship with Adam, and a conversation that I'll cherish for a long time. It's
100%, man. I think that's the thing as well. Like, I don't know. I think over that lockdown period, man, I think everyone had a different experience of it. But I think for a lot of people, one experience that transcended it a lot was probably once everything kind of grinds to a halt, you kind of take stock of like, oh, actually, what is it to
be doing all this? You're so distracted by your regular everyday stuff that there was a part of lockdown where like I think a lot of people kind of were like, what is this regular thing that we're doing? Like, we're talking about like phones and stuff. Yeah. It's just like I was like out going for massive long walks by myself, like almost every day, or like, small groups, and was just like back in nature. And truly, like, I know it was a really tough time for a lot of people.
So man, yeah, exactly.
But like I just felt more like connected with.
Well, I think as well, like what the example of what that is so much is what you just described. It is the comparison between a conversation or the content, which is the conversation being recorded and then put out. And it was like for us going like the recording of music and the music industry, then having a thought of like separating that from music as an act, because both are so valuable to us. Like, but it was one thing where you kind of realize that the only time you ever thought about music was like, okay, what is it in conjunction with this? Rather than actually over that time, there were lots of times where we were playing music and doing music and thinking, God, music's a natural act, man. Artistic expression, conversation, they're all artistic acts.
Best. Music is the best.
But it's so lovely to hear you say that, like a conversation I'll cherish forever, because like you will. And like that's has art, so man. Much value.
Conversating with people, all those things, like whether you're like doing some filming, music, talking, speaking, everything is your expression. You know what I mean? And it's like having a good conversation is a fight. Do you know what I mean? It's like having a jam. We're jamming.
Right now, exactly. It is. Yeah. We're doing some classic call and response right now, gentlemen, lads. I didn't know which word to say. Lads is what almost came out then. But I mean, this is the thing as well. In summary of that point, sorry to interrupt, Ben, but in summary of that point, what bothers me, so you get an idea of the way I go about things the most, is that I know that right now what was at is in its infancy, but I know that what we've got is a really passionate collective, a dogged collective that want support. On Bandcamp Fridays, there are members in our community that have bought over 300 songs on Bandcamp the last 12 months alone on Bandcamp Fridays. That's the kind of, and that's what excites me about building this, up from the 100 people I've got right now, for when a day the 200, 3, 4, 5 come that are supporters and that are buying into this, the 5,000 people a week that somehow find me and listen to the station, that's awesome. But what upsets me the most about the chat is it's not a selfish point. It's the feeling of loss of elevating someone that I buy into so much and that I want to help grow. That's what guts me, is that Adam today is about to go on. Howlers are starting their tour today after the first time they played in a year and a half. And he's going to get an email from me saying, yesterday was so good, but I'm so sorry. And I really appreciate your time. And if you want to jump on and do another chat in the next few weeks, or if you want to wait 6 months when a new record's out. But here's the thing, like Jody and I were speaking to upstairs in the bedroom before I came down for this, which is that all it's done is solidify and create a new friendship that means that next. But here's the powerful thing, really, is that what was so brilliant yesterday was watching Adam go through, watching our connection build. At the start of it, he was a little bit anxious about, a little bit closed off, and the confidence that grew into and what he shared, and two gentlemen speaking about things that many men, certainly in England, say fucking shut up, don't talk about it. It was a really powerful and poignant chat. However, to skip back 2 minutes and to re-click into Ben and George taking the piss out of Ben for doing that wacky space inflatable arm man thing, it reminded me that I just felt like bringing this out of my cupboard. That I've had this since a kid, to calm down and look at multiple colors. And I just felt like I had to just do this quick, because you were doing the whole...
Oh, yes,
bro. What is that? That's
got
It's just a little...
Bring this up. Whoa.
I'll put it in your camera.
Seriously, amazing vibe.
I can tell you've been to the
festivals, yeah?
Yeah.
It's my little Bez. It's my little Bez lamp, Fucking hell, man.
Man. Mate, so one question I want to ask you is, man, what's it like living in Canada, man? Because I think my mum spent a small amount of time living in Canada many years ago.
Canada.
Yeah, exactly. So I've always heard amazing things about it and whatever else, but what's it like living there? 11 years, right?
Yeah, well, where was do you know roughly the area your mum's friend, or?
Oh, man.
It's a big country.
She was a waitress on roller skates in a restaurant. I don't know where. I think it might have been in Van City, man. I don't know.
Well, okay, Vancouver's just over the water an hour. I love the fact that you said Van City feels like you're fucking from there, because it's all the T-shirts.
I'm just imagining just loads of vans.
Sorry.
I'll have to get you one of those Van City. It's a black tee with the red bar and then Van City in it. That's ripping off like the Compton thing. But anyway, well, I'm on Vancouver Island in Victoria, and this island is bigger than England and Wales and I think the whole UK put together, but not as many people, only about 400,000 people on the whole island. I can't recall. But I'm on the very, that can't be right. Let me Google it quick. How many people?
Please do, because if that's true, I'm picturing it right now.
Do you know the one thing going back to phone apps, is when you get carried away with the Google questioning, man, the amount of that we've done, how many species of snail are there?
I thought a chicken.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Go on.
How many eggs does a chicken lay in its lifetime? I know this answer because of Google.
Well, in a year it should be at least 200 to 225, isn't it?
What we saying in its lifetime then?
Oh God, if it's 6 years, times that by 6. Anyway, look. Here's
go.
According to Google, I should know this because my family, we had chickens always. Dad loves chickens, but the population of this is getting out of control in a great way. We've got too many threads to go off on. Do not forget chickens. Do not forget hornets. I'll get to hornets. Do not forget Vancouver Island population at the moment is 846,278 as of the start of this year. 401,000 in the Met area of Victoria where I am. So Canada is a very, very big and vast country. Canada is a very diverse country. I always say, from the sake of a music standpoint in England, that for me, a massive start of when people look and idolize English culture and music so much, it's because it's so vibrant and it's so multicultural in the first place. You look after the Second World War, it's an example I give time and time again. You look at the fact that the Queen said, we need more workers in these industries. Will anyone in the Caribbean help us with that? Along come people that inspire a certain guy called Joe, I think surname Strummer. The Clash is born. All these different types of genres of music come in and flood England, and then in turn inspire and galvanize new tweaks of a genre and evolution of music. That, for me, as a small side note, is why England is so diverse and so exciting. Canada has that too, to an extent where it's just so open to all nationalities that you've got all these pockets of intrigue. However, it is so big and diverse. And this actually opens up into a question that I wanted to ask, I think about 40 minutes ago, near when we first started out, because Ben, you said something along the lines of, in Hastings, because I'm going to double back to you now, and then we'll come back to Canada because I don't want to lose this thread. In Hastings, you were saying it's different to the bigger city. We care more as a community. We're all supporting each other. Over there in London or Manchester, they might be looking at each other and looking to maybe a little bit of salt from you, rub it on our recipe, sprinkle it. We might maybe take a bit from you. And it was interesting when I spoke to Adam in the Howlers yesterday. He was saying that big city vibe for him, he felt also really pissed him off. So what is it about Hastings that seems to be, because this is the thing with England, when someone says to me, oh my God, your accent, where is it? And I say, well, there's a different accent every 20 minutes you drive in England. And, but at the same time, the energy shifts every 20 minutes you go north, south, east, west. What is the energy in Hastings that truly does separate it from a London or Manchester?
Well, it's like, I don't know. The thing about it is that I think that there is a strong sense of community, like we said, and I think there's, like I said earlier, man, there's no ego, you know. Since we were young kids, we've been hanging out with people from like all different backgrounds, all different ages, whatever. Everyone there for the love of partying, everyone there for the love of music.
Like in truth, like, you know, everyone likes to party, right? And along with that is just it's just bonding and making connections and talking to people and just like generally socializing, meet a lot of interesting people.
And a lot of different types of music as well. I think we've always been really blessed to like, there's always been every type of genre, like, you know, and it's always been free. So you go around the old town, you know, in one pub, there's like Nashville songwriter. In another thing, there's like amazing award-winning jazz singer, pianist, people doing it. Then there's a huge drum group in one bit, all on the same day. You're just walking through the town, there's all this stuff going on.
And it's like, it's inspiringly good. Like, you know, these people who are playing like are really good. And then the people who get inspired and start playing from that, everyone's got each other's back. Everyone's like out to help like each other in terms of like, let's learn this music together. You know,
and as sort of the new generations are coming in, as time's going on, like it's becoming a more diverse place, you know, like a lot of like non-metropolitan areas, you know what I mean? It hasn't in the past, certainly when we've lived there growing up, it's never been like the most diverse, most multicultural place. But that is also changing as well. And it's a beautiful thing to see the town you love always be moving forward and progressing into something that you love, you know, like, and it's good to see it grow. And I think a lot of people kind of always sing songs, or it's sort of a trope of music where they're like, oh, I want to get out. And we've always just been like,
big it up.
I might be there forever, man. I ain't ashamed to say it. I love that place, man.
If anyone's watching from Hastings right now,
love you.
And also love the whole world. I'm sending love now to everyone, you know, but like, big up Hastings right now.
Yeah, man. 100%. We're lucky to be there, man. And the water, I mean, how close are you to like open water?
Yeah, that's important, man.
10 minutes. So we're...
Oh,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Thank you. Fuck, I feel like I just won an NME award. Thank you both so much for that reaction. No, to answer your question, Ben, but I had to go off on that thread to get your response to cover the big city against the Hastings. And that's not any slight on Hastings, but two very different animals are Hastings and London. But for me, I mean, my mum's mother, Bush Queen, says Hastings for life in the chat. I love that your laptop can't handle the microphone, just completely cut out. That was how excited you were. Also, thank you, Shush. Thank you, Carmen, for following. That's one of the best usernames I've ever seen. Just Shush. That's brilliant. That's my best friend Boopa Doopy Alex's partner, and yeah, I love that username.
Yeah,
so
big love.
My mum's mother was Canadian. She moved over to England with a couple of her siblings in between the wars. Met my grandfather, who passed away actually late last year in his 94th year. He was in the Navy. So when the Second World War broke out, Back, if I remember correctly, she came back to Canada because no one's going to fuck with you on the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island. It's just no one even knows it exists at that point. It's zero threat. Then after that goes back, and some of her brothers and sisters go up to Scotland. Some go to the Midlands, and some go to London. She goes down into Kent because she's fallen in love with this sailor that's my grandfather. They were together for over 55 years. When she passed away 14 years ago, we had a get together. Mum, dad, and I. I've got a brother and sister. Brother's 20. Oh shit, brother's 30. Sister's 40. She won't let me saying that, but it's fact, Emma. That's how old you are now. And so, but they were busy. Emma was, I think, in Switzerland working at the time. David was still in school and couldn't get away for that week. So my mum, dad, and I went to Toronto and spent, I think it was 5 days or 5 nights, 6 days. And I just met a plethora of family that I'd never seen before, and a bunch that I'd seen when I was like 10 at a family reunion in Edinburgh many, many years ago. And I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna come back here this summer and spend a few weeks moving around, because so many of them said, come and stay with us. You've got a couch or a sofa or a settee. It's been so long since I've said settee. Can we just celebrate?
Say it loud and proud, man.
Settee. It's called a motorway, you assholes. Sorry. Highway. It's 12 years of saying highway. Anyway, what's a dual carriageway, John? What's a trunk? What do you mean boot? Anyway, I love being here. So we had that get together. I came across and I gave out demos all across the country to CFNY, which the Edge in Toronto, to Sonic in Edmonton, to the Fox, C-Fox in Vancouver, the Zone that I ended up getting a job at here in Victoria. And I met people at the Zone, and my cousin was on the dodgeball team at the time. They had a charity dodgeball team, for God's sake.
What?
And he said,
my God, sounds like the life out there, man.
Right, well, I mean, yeah. And so my cousin said the boss man gets in really early, 2 hours before they open. So if you move here, why don't you just... So, but long story short, I stayed in Canada. Actually, Booper Doopy's watching right now. Many years ago, when we used to go to Reading, and it was Alex that got me to Reading. I'm a bit of a sap in the sense that, you know, I'll get my hands dirty, but I've got to be in the right mood for it, you know? So I wasn't necessarily I don't really like Cub Scouts as a kid. I had many harrowing experiences. I don't want to go camping and be with a bunch of drug addicts and alcoholics and loud noises. But Alex is like, just fucking, you'll be with me. You'll be safe. Let's go to Reading. It's going to be great. We'll see Pearl Jam. We'll see Muse. We'll see Ed Shikari way back when, etc. Coheed and Cambria, that set they played in the tent where they didn't stop for 55 minutes, one elongated song of brilliance. I mean, so I went to this for the first year, and we bought the early passes for the next year. But I was going to Canada that summer, but I was going to be back weeks before the festival. But they were the early passes. They hadn't announced a headliner. That was the year that Rage Against the Machine headlined last minute.
No.
Now I was in Canada, and that's a bucket list situation. And I was having such an incredible time that I cancelled my return flight and extended it to do a month. And then they announced Rage, and then I was like, well, Alex, hang on a second. Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay, because I cancelled and refunded my tickets 6 months prior to get the flight and to get my insurance for travel. So that's okay. I've not got tickets. But then a week after that conversation with him where I thought I've still got them, tickets arrived in the post, and they'd made a mistake, and they gave me 2 free tickets to Reading. I sent those via my mum to Alex, and Alex, type in the chat how many fucking people you snuck into Reading Festival doing the old loose band, throw it over the fence, come in, my friend. He says, yeah, he sneaked in 6 people on top of the 2. 8 of them got in.
Mate, it's like the Great Escape, man. You're smashing it, man.
Yeah.
That is it, man. I mean, Rage Against the
mate, I mean, I've seen those videos, man. I watch them a lot. We watch them a lot. If we've had a few bevies and it's the end of the night, man, that'll go on.
It's just a go-to, like, you cannot beat that. I mean, like,
I mean, what's the festival scene like in Canada? Do you get, is it the same as the UK festies? Is it different? What's the vibe?
Well, I mean, so to finish my point though, and lots of elongated points of me, is that in the time that I spent all across this country, and having spent, you know, yes, born and raised in Malmesbury and Gloucestershire essentially, but then having the chance to go to London a lot, and Alex going up to Putney all the time and Brixton for shows. And I wanted to just change the pace a little bit. I mean, I'm very open, and I don't want to dive into a mental health breakdown of when I was 10 years old, but I was abused not by 2 guys I don't know at Crudwell. I went to primary school in Crudwell of Wiltshire. And that meant that through my teenage years, I was just very insecure about my body, about the usual things, chasing to get the kiss or trying to get the girlfriend. I was very closed off in that regard, but at the same time, so extroverted and so bonkers in going through all these characters and exploring who I am and trying to develop like the understanding of what I want to be. I was saying this yesterday to Lewis, only I think 12 hours ago at midnight my time, for a Sophisticated Dingo conversation, where I went through, am I a 90s prog rocker? Am I an emo guy? What am I? Am I a Manchester Oasis big puffer jacket? What am I? And so for me, I felt that after all those years of being in London and being in England, that can be very constricting, can be very, just suck it up and get on with it, can be just, you're just one speck and we ain't got time for the rest of the shit. I just felt like I needed to completely get out of that and define and regrow and relearn who I am on my own terms. And so what I liked about Vancouver Island, to answer your question from 15 minutes ago, Ben, is that the energy here was so calm, and the way that people on Vancouver Island, the conversation is open. If you stop someone in the street and say, I don't know where the bakery is, I don't know where the petrol station, I don't know where it is, well, they'll tell you, they might walk you to it. But yet you get on that ferry, you go to Vancouver, an hour and a half ferry away, you've got that big city London vibe of, I'm sorry, I'm on my phone and you're not.
That's exactly, that's it.
Well, mate, first and foremost, so happy to have a conversation so openly with you, man, and appreciate you, man. But I really love that. I think that you've made a brave decision to change where you were, but also it sounds like something in you knew that was the right thing to do. And I mean, I suppose there's something about being more remote, particularly in the neck of the woods you're at in Canada, where it's like, I don't know, maybe things just feel more like they resonate on the true level with
each other more meaningfully, like we've been talking about, like with cities, and then like where we live and where you live. Like there's obviously like the city life just gets too much. No one's got the time. I've always felt when I've gone to London that I'm just like, if I've got to get from like A to B and I've got all day, I'll still like rush.
Yeah, there's just a sort of charge. There are different charges, man, and some people love that shit, man. Some people fucking love the city, and that's cool, of course. But it's I think coming from where we are, which is kind of half and half, but it is very, very much a natural place, and being like you're describing where you are, man, like it just sounds like you've done exactly the right thing, man. Respect to you for making that change. You know what I mean? Like 100%, man.
It's been a hell of a 10 years, and I would say, like I said to Jody only a few weeks ago, that in just the last 13 months, I feel that all the growth I thought I had gone through the last 10 years was tested. Every which fucking way was tested the last year. And that still continues. That's still nothing's perfect, and this is the biggest problem that I've always been told that I have, is that perfection is not achievable. But I will argue vehemently until I'm blue in the face that one can still install the drive to push themselves to up within that limit, knowing that you can't achieve it. You can still, now there's a healthy and an unhealthy way of doing that. George, what does that inspire in you?
That's it. Well, that's like, you can, it's good to have that drive. But like you said, there's a healthy and an unhealthy way. Like as soon as you, I think, start putting too much pressure on a lot of those things in your life, and you go like, right, I need to be hitting this level, like hitting that, like, it's as soon as and also you were saying about like, okay, well, am I this? Am I that? Am I this? As soon as you just like, what I found personally is just being able to be present and just go like, I'm here right now. Like, I'm not this, I'm not that. And I don't need to fucking reach this or that. Like suddenly, like, there's moments it goes in and out because life is so like, busy. But that's when I feel like chill, when I'm like, cool.
It's interesting what you say though, because you're right. Like it can be used as a tool as long as you always have the caveat in your mind that no one will ever be perfect, and you can use that to be like, I want things to be the best, and have that thought in the back of your mind. But yes, I think one of the hardest things, you see people who are like, I'm like so ambitious that like I can't even give up for 1 second. You're like, you see some people are like that and it destroys them. Some people like that and they're totally at peace with it. I mean, look at someone like, I don't know, for example, like look at someone like Tyson Fury or something when he talks. Who knows if he just talks for cameras or whatever, but someone who's saying like, I've managed to remove the ego from the idea of being the heavyweight champion, but also I will use the same drive I always use to train and to try and be the best I can be. And that kind of looks like someone, maybe I'm wrong, that has that kind of like that dichotomy at peace in their head of how to do it, because I think it's important to find that. It sounds like what you're saying is that you kind of are able to use it in that sense as well. Do you know what I mean?
And it's extremely difficult though, Ben, because on the days like this morning where I slept for 3 hours last night after all those great conversations yesterday, one that was lost, two that were one that wasn't lost, it's in that pocket. That's where the real lesson and growth comes in. And when you've got to take hold of yourself, shake your subconscious and say, the fuck are you doing right now? Because you know if you're a bit more rested and having a few more cups of tea, this conversation this narrative isn't even built, doesn't even begin. It does not even start. And that's when, like I was saying to Jody earlier, like the sooner I say in my head, the sooner I say to you, Jody, I'm just being a big baby right now. Let me wake up, go for a walk, have a cigarette, get a bit of fresh air. I mean, fresh air is, you use that term lightly when I just said cigarette.
Bring yourself into the now, innit? Like as soon as you've gone in and you've just gone, okay, like, I'm here right now. Like there's a million times that everyone in their whole life will go dwell on the past and think about the future and worry about all these things. Like, and in some respects, like it's good when you're going, okay, you know, it's good to be worried. That makes me cautious about this thing. Yeah. But like, being present has helped me so much with all my anxieties and everything.
Because mate, when you're in a band, man, like,
it's hard.
There's a lot of pushback in between. You know, it's highs and lows, man. And the highs are real fucking high and the lows are real low. But it's like, if you can understand your identity as an individual rather than looking to the band or whatever to provide you with that identity, because the identity that you would derive in that sense would be controlled by other people. You're not in control of it. And when it's good, that's good. But when it's bad, it can be really bad.
It's your own, like, that's it. Like everyone's in control of their own shit, like really. And it's unfortunately so many people aren't aware of that. I think.
Yeah, it's hard.
Like a lot of people will go about it like thinking, I need to fit in like this, I need to this. Going back to social media, that contributes to that a lot. But it's like, you know, having that realization that, okay, I'm in control. Do you know what I mean? Like,
people got to talk about it more. It sounds like yesterday you had a conversation with Adam that is the exact type of conversation that it's great to see more of and to be putting that information out. Because like, if one person sees that who needs to hear it, if one person hears
feels comfortable enough to say, like,
it's like every brick in the wall, man, to like consciousness and societal norms changing to be able to kind of be aware of like, oh shit, I can be in more control of my head than maybe I realized. You know?
Yeah, and I tell you what, to put a cap on this part of the conversation, it's been so powerful for me. One of the biggest reasons why I feel and say that I've grown up tenfold the last year alone is because since I fell in love with Jodie, who's upstairs, and her son Harley, who's 7, and Harley has shown me so many lessons, reflecting back to my childhood and how meal times were, how bedtime was. And I love my parents dearly. I would do anything. I would walk through fire for them. But adulting and parenthood and consciousness and conversation has changed an awful fucking lot in 30 years, in just a few generations. And so having this young soul running around, and the lessons I've learned from him, without highlighting any in particular because they're special and personal to us three, is a massive part of that. Because there's so many times I didn't realize because I've been living by myself, bachelor life, for a long time. I didn't think I've had relationships here and there. I've always been, I know I've upset a lot of former relationships where I've just gone, no, it's done. The feeling's gone. I feel afraid I'm out. And they didn't know about my background until I started sharing that the last 4 or 5 years. And so what's been so powerful with Jodie is there is no secret. There is nothing hidden agenda-wise. Everything is open. We know what we've all been through. We respect that. We converse about it. And so I didn't realize just how much like my dad I was. And I love you, Dad, so much, on the off chance that you watch this, but I know you won't, old man. But the old man who I love dearly. But one thing I've got in common with him is how quickly I can pout. How I can be, oh, fuck, well, fuck. And that's just a very English thing too, isn't it? Like Basil Fawlty, like, what? Fuck. You know, and the first time I did that in this house, just short of a year ago, Harley came over to me And the first day I met him, he gave me this dollar coin. But the first time I had a shitty, pouty day, and I was sort of trying to figure out how do I converse with Jody about this without Harley seeing it. I don't want my energy to affect him, but yet he can feel it, man. He knows that I'm stewing. And I was like complaining about something so mundane I can't remember it. And he pulled me aside afterwards and he asked me to come and he gave me a hug and then gave me more money. Let me give you some money and look, I love you, acknowledge you. Take this item from me. Take a physical thing and snap back into reality, will you, John? And that's been absolutely colossal for me this year.
Mate,
anyway,
I bet it's been a steep learning curve, but like, you know what I mean, just a beautiful one to be on, I guess. Like you say, a lot of amazing moments. I guess when you, I mean, just interacting, like you said, like kids are tuned in, man. Interacting like in that sense is it reminds you that. I was saying this the other day. It's like what's crazy is that like, you know, you grow up, you think of. We were chatting with the guy from D-Mob about it, Matt from D-Mob.
Oh, I'd love to speak to D-Mob. Happy, yeah.
Oh, mate, it's such a lovely guy. I met him recently, man. Like, Matthew, man, he's an absolute diamond.
You can help with that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, no worries. But like, but no, literally, he was saying that, and it's like, I think, you know, that you think of yourself as a different person now in an adult as when you were a kid, but actually, you're the exact same, like, conscious experience moving through it.
Can I just say that? Can I just say that's a very like touching on that we were going deep.
We were chatting
onto the levels of like
time travel,
time being, you know, not just like a linear thing. And so, but you know, in a simpler form, let's not get too into that.
That's for the next one. That's for the after dark. But what do you call it? But no, it is that
you are the same person.
It reminds you that you have still within you the ability to interact on that more simple level that is much more human, and it isn't
so much more. Yeah. And that's where it comes into that thing of like being like, okay, like there's these like pure souls that are getting born, and like suddenly like at the age of 10, even younger, you're just suddenly thrust into this society world where you're just like, okay, like I will be like this.
Somebody
you
just
know,
what was that?
It's interesting, man. It is interesting.
That? I don't know if you could hear that. Thank you to Jackson Lee, who just followed as well. I appreciate that. I tried to turn the notifications down a little bit, but that probably came through your ears as well.
Okay, I probably have a Zoom over there.
So it's going a bit laggy. One second.
Yeah, something's going on a little bit with the old connection. One moment.
You seem okay now. You were getting a bit slow a little bit, but it seems to.
We're all good. We're back to hyperspeed.
That was probably actual slurring of words, but
man, that sofa, it just looks.
Oh my gosh!
Like, what's the deal with that? Like, is that cushion? How soft is that cushion?
Firstly, you should both know that
can you give us a little lay down on the old sofa and
listen, George? Sorry, is this what it takes you an hour and 2 minutes to jump to such questioning? Look, listen, give me a second here. You need to both know. I'll do it. I'm game. But you need to both know that for the last 10 seconds on my feed, you paused and you were both like this. Let me try and recreate it.
Oh my God, man! It's all right.
For those watching on this feed, on this camera number 2, it was like this.
Oh yeah, man, we were probably chatting baloney, man.
All right,
do you know what? In all fairness, we had a late one last night.
No, you didn't. You didn't. That's not why you've got a bottle of wine cracked at the start of this interview. No.
Yeah,
it's
no,
nice.
just, you know.
No, but honestly, do you know what, man? The tour so far, just bringing that up as well. Like, there was a long period of time when we thought that we might never gig again. That kind of talk was flying about.
100%.
And you know, yes, it gave us time to do the album. Yes, it gave us time to kind of go through whatever other journeys we went through, but the thing about gigging is we will never ever take it for granted. Not that we ever would, but all of the times before when you might be like you said, you know, they don't exist anymore, man. Yeah. Like that is something we won't take for granted. Like this tour has been so good for that. I've been laughing all day, every day.
Yeah.
We've been getting up there doing the gigs, and it's like it's just been.
The gigs have been powerful. Like I really feel like something's coming back in me because, like you said, like. You have two years off or whatever of gigging. Do a few and you're going, oh, I'm not really match fit and whatever, but like we're getting back into our flow and I'm just feeling like actual great about the shows. I'm like the energy that we're getting from the audience, everything is just like coming together and I'm like, cool, like I want to do this like properly.
Yeah.
But I mean,
great.
that's for me testament to the way that Kapichi, the way that you run this band is clinical, guys. It's every step, every which way, from the first moment I messaged to the correspondence way back 2 years ago. You and through the authenticity of how you communicate as well. I mean, this is the most tickets you've sold. Period. Like seeing these pictures of these rooms full makes me well up over here because I'm so into the fucking music that I'm like, this is what you need to have. And that's why then I picture Jack with his belt almost on his neck, it's so high up, just stood there, power stance, like, let me fucking show you an evening, insert city name in town
man,
here.
trust me,
It's getting to that point. Man.
It was
just being like, let's show us.
Yeah, I think the Scala was the one for us particularly because it was the first night of the tour. And, you know, we'd had all this stuff of like, oh, there's been drop-offs, there's been this, that, the other, because of obviously people buying tickets 2 years ago, you know. But going out there and seeing the room packed to the rafters and be playing a venue like that as headline for the first time, I think it really made us feel like, all right,
it was
keep your heads down and let's do this because this is happening. Like, let's do this.
That's a moment where you come off and you just, it took me 10 minutes. It always takes me at least this after a show of just going, right, you know, thinking through the gig. You have your anxieties, you know, about like,
was I all right?
Did this go right? Whatever. 10 minutes later, man, I was literally just like, I was just like, fuck. And then it was such a buzz.
We were jumping, man. We were literally jumping for joy.
It just meant so much. Like it was crazy.
It's great. I really want to play a gig for you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to happen.
Like, you on the sofa.
Us just on drums and gear. But
this is what I said. This is what I said to Jodie. So many bands love the room that she's built here that I've said this, that when we can, how cool would it be? We're very private people, as much as I'm very open about my life, but it would be so cool to have sessions in this room, or at least get Jodie to design a 70s inspired room and move this to another room for you to perform in. I mean, but
100%, man.
Give me a few years. But actually that speaks to a point, George, which is that one of the goals of What Was That is where I think I can get to in year 10 to 12 is to put on a free concert downtown in Victoria that would be able to turn around and say, right, I'm going to fly you guys over. I'm going to take care of your hotels. And what would be so cool is to bring together, like, just off the top of my head right now, Kid Kapichi, Calvin Louise, let's go Combos, let's go Baron Womb from Norway, then let's go L'Objectif from France, let's go let's just bring together Soft Cult from the other side of this country in Canada. Let's bring together like 4 or 5 incredible modern rock bands and just be like, yo, this is a free festival, because that's what it's about. There's too much, like you were talking about festivals, I feel like half an hour ago, asking me what are the difference. Ben, it's been too long since I've been in England and been to a festival that I could graciously say, here's a differential. For me, from only a couple of years at Reading, it's very clear that the impression I get of that type of festival way back when in the early 2000s is that if people love you, it's great. If they hate you, watch out for golf balls and beer bottles. That you don't get here. If someone doesn't like you in Canada, I've never seen anyone throw anything at a band here. I mean, it's all. I don't think it's a question you can truly answer, because it's all down to the individuals, the area, the atmosphere, the community, how they go about things. And at the same time, as we've seen, sadly, in the US in the last few days, there are people that have yearned for concerts. There are people that have yearned to be a nuisance. So there's a very fine line between how people go about. And like Boopa Doopy saying, it's only really a Reading and Alex saying it's only really a Reading and Leeds thing to be so brutal with the golf ball. I mean, everything is so different. You don't get that at Glastonbury because people are too busy tripping over.
Yeah, Glasgow, exactly like that. There's something about that, but I guess there's a sort of Colosseum aspect to certain festivals where I guess, and it happens in the rock scene as well, like there's real like football fan levels of love and Colosseum styles to that, which, mate, there's a romance to that, of course. Like it's you know, everything's got good and bad about it. And if you were the band getting golf balls thrown at you, you probably wouldn't like it too much. But I guess that's it sometimes. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, man. It's quite, I guess, when you see, like, I saw some video the other day of Drake going out to a crowd, and that crowd, he was the surprise guest. They weren't happy, blah, blah, blah. You hate to see, you don't want to see that happen to anyone. But I guess it's humbling to know that still, no matter who you are, whether you're the biggest artist in the world, you have an experience like that, and you'll remember, not everyone loves me. I should fucking remember that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's probably good, man. You know what I mean? Like,
in a way, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not.
Just
maybe
like knock off the violence.
Yeah, innit? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe
like,
I'm wrong. I
know. I hear what you're saying.
Just thinking out loud. That might be wrong.
I just got a text from what was that community member and Wuzzer. We're called Wuzzers, by the way. If you're from Wiltshire, you're a Wurzel, and I can't believe I didn't think of Wuzzer. I think it was Jeremy Kerr that I mentioned earlier that came up with that in chat, and we've stuck with it. But Steve just texted me and said, "Lol, in the truck watching and listening in between work, and as you were talking about the freeze frame, my app froze, and this is what it looked like. I'll show you first. Can you see that?
Oh my God, look at us, man! Right in there.
I don't know if it's too bright."
Oh mate, I love it, man.
For everyone else here, I think it might be a bit too bright, but
that's a big smile on Mako. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Grinning, man.
And you've got but your smile, Ben, is the loading bar, like the 50% of the loading bar. Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be a cool little tattoo. You know?
So here's the thing. Yeah, and by the way, if you're right-handed, get the mustache on the left hand. You look like an idiot when you're trying to make a good point in a meeting. Here's the thing, though, is that while I go and lie on the couch, so that George can get whatever lustful wish and request he wants in.
Thank you.
I'm going to quote upsetmagazine.com, where Jack, who's resting his precious vocals, his mighty vocals right now, Jack said, quote, "You hear that phrase a lot. This time next year, you'll be doing things and playing here. Sometimes you find it hard to see what you've achieved and how far you've come because you've always got to look ahead to what the next thing is. It could be a really toxic way to live life and one that is quite often the norm. On the other hand, it's also relevant to what's going on right now. Everyone's lives are on pause. We're all waiting and hoping for this time next year." So I'm going to go and sit down for a few minutes and listen to... Oh, no, my headphones won't reach. I'll turn my headphones up really loud and mute the microphone whilst you dive into the process of this record. I mean, you were mentioning 50 minutes ago, Ben, how, okay, half produced and then half you're jumping on YouTube and learning yourself and equipping yourself those tools to do so. Tell me about that journey. And I don't really prepare any interviews. I like to just converse and just stumble into discovery and making friendships and connections. But the 4 things I wrote down on my pad were Sardines, Thugs, Working Man's Town, and Self-Saboteur, because those are the 4 that really scream to me on what is an incredible debut album. And so to Ben and to George, please don't get distracted by the fact I'm wearing some shitty Tesco trousers that my brother sent me that keep me nice and warm. I didn't think my bottom half would be on screen. And so...
not often that it is in this format. So I'm glad have... You know what I mean?
Over to you. I'm going to turn my headphones up real loud and listen, but I'll come back if I can't hear.
So it's interesting that... you would take these 4 tracks because like 2 of them were done by us and 2 of them we did with other people, which is, I guess when you're making shit, you're always worried, like, is it gonna all gel together? Loving the trousers, my brother.
I can see the scale of the sofa now.
Yo,
wow,
mate,
exquisite.
That is some perspective, man. That's a big one, man.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, so what was interesting is like, so we did Sardines and we did Thugs with this guy, Gavin Monaghan. He's like amazing guy,
legend,
got a studio in Wolverhampton, like he's done loads of wicked bands. Like it was a real pleasure to work with him.
It was.
Learned a lot about how to make decisions quickly and say, this is the sound we're using and working with stuff. And, you know, it was a really good
every process that you go on in terms of like recording and working with people is just another like step in that journey of like,
as long as you make yourself a sponge, man, innit? Like, and we always do. Me and G-Mac always watching. Everyone's always watching.
We both produce like other bits as well.
Yeah,
so
that's it, man. But with these tracks, but with Working Man's Town and Self-Sab, Working Man's Town was actually the first thing we did because we recorded the drums up in Saffron Walden in Cambridge, and then we came back, recorded all the gits in a house in one of our houses. Yeah, I think it was. And then we did all the rest of the stuff and then mixed it. And it was kind of like the first, in my opinion, that's my favorite mix, my favorite production, because there wasn't any overthinking about it. It was just going, cool, let's give this a go. And it was very pure, you know. And with Self-Sab, similar thing. That we did basically everything else.
Self-Sab was we replicated how we did Working Man's Town. But like you said, like, that was the first one where we'd done it ourselves. Like Ben was on the engineering on the knobs, man. Like, and we set all the mics up ourselves, did all that. It was once you'd learned that process and how to like do that, all the other tracks we kind of did in a similar.
Makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, like again, like we said earlier, like there's this whole thing that people, I think you see a lot of producers, especially when you're watching YouTube videos, like to act like they're sort of like, oh, I know how to do this thing that no one else could ever do because I'm a genius. And it's like, nah, man, once the penny drops, you're like, mate, this is quite fun because the actual making of it, the technicalities, you can go, it's how long is a piece of string.
It also turns the best bit I find with us as a group of like musicians and friends is like that studio time when we're all in there, like, you know, the songs may have been written and we've like recorded these bits and whatever, but like once you understand and you're comfortable enough with the process, you can have fun and you can be more creative. Suddenly you're not listening to some, well, not that it's bad, but you're not, there's not someone else. You're just like making all these decisions, going like, and you know how to execute them. So you're just suddenly in this creative realm of just like, it's super
been fun. Like we, a lot of the writing process that we cultivated through the process of album one was quite interesting, because before it'd kind of be like, you know, DI guitars and blah, 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 and whatever else. And that still happens sometimes, but we started doing this thing now where 3 or 4 of us or 2 of us or however many will sit in a room together with a microphone in the middle in G-Max basement.
I basically, so I have my drum kit set up in my basement toilet at my dad's house, right? So I can just go downstairs, have a wee if I want, or play drums.
How big's the fucking toilet, dude? What do you mean?
It's not big.
It's not that big.
But it is long, right?
It's long.
It's long. There's a toilet at one end. Anyway,
So you just set it up like Blue Man Group. Tom's on the ceiling and a kick drum.
Yeah, that's like it's.
Sink.
I'm lucky to be able to make that much noise where I live, like, you know. And thank you for Dad putting up with that. If you
and then we set up a mic in the room and we'll just record for like 2 hours straight, find the right beats, anyway, to cut a long story short, that process was really, really good, because it gave us the confidence that when we made songs like that, we knew they would translate to the studio. We knew they would translate
feel
to
good
live,
to play, yeah.
They felt good at that moment. And Self-Sab was an example of that. Working Man's Town was an example of that. Thugs was an example of that.
Thugs was like literally done in the toilet, man.
Yeah.
Like that was literally like a sunny day, and it just like came out. That was a very quick tune that just was like, you know, we'd like jammed out this stuff, like this music, put it on the computer,
made a demo,
made a little bit fatter. Jack come over, bang.
It was sometimes those ones that are a gift are so nice, because sometimes songs take you fucking 5-6 weeks. Yeah. Sometimes they take you 1 day, sometimes they take you 1 hour, you know. But those ones that you really love and that come easily you feel like they're a gift, you know.
They are a gift.
100%, man.
I got a friend called Steve Bays, who's a producer over in Vancouver, who has been in many bands over the years. I don't know if you know Hot Heat from the early 2000s. Yeah, he's a producer more so these days, but when I spoke to him several years back, the first time I met him, he said, I record every single second of every single jam. And this is when I'd started a band many years back that is no more as of just before the pandemic. But that's why we would record every single jam on Zoom, every show on GoPro, every single second, because you never know when that 1-2 second riff's going to appear that turns into a dynamite song.
Sorry.
The second thing, no, don't be sorry, George, but I do want to get to this question that was sparked when Ben was talking then about Thugs. The juxtaposition between the lyrical content and the video of Thugs. You know, the song starts in saying the computer and your phones are all bugged, right? Every time we kick up dust, every time we cause a fuss, they call us thugs. So what was the idea behind the video that really looks into fox hunting and lyrically where you don't seem to get a sense of that story? Why was that a point that you wanted to make? Where did that come from?
It was interesting because that video idea had been one that was conjured up around 2019. And like, it was when we were talking about that all that time before, that idea was one that got kind of thrown around about it. And then we ended up making a video maybe for 2019, which we really liked. But then when we'd written Thugs, even before, we weren't even planning the video. It was like when we were writing the song, it was like, I really think that video would work as a metaphor for the stuff, you know. Like, I think it kind of, you know, it describes sort of the David and Goliath story of fox hunting, which is kind of also the sort of relationship between people in a social stratification sense in not just the UK, everywhere, you know. And I think that was the sort of metaphor around why it matched with the lyrics. You know, you want a war, we'll give you war. What if the foxes fought back? What if suddenly, you know what I mean? Yeah. The guy gets caught by the foxes, you know, to simplify it. But I think that's kind of how it went through. And it's one of the things we love about making videos, and this is true to now, is that all the ones, non-performance, of course, that have extras, everything like that, they're all done in Hastings. They're all done with people that we know. They're all made by people in Hastings. And it's like, it's so nice to feel like you get to participate in creativity within your town. And that's not something you're doing and sacrificing. That's something you're doing and getting more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're getting better by interacting with your community. And it's like, it's good. And we've got the same thing. We just want to give one shout out to Savage Sound, which is Dr. Savage's studio. He's an amazing blues man, performer, but that's the studio we work out of now we're making the next album in there as well at the moment. And, you know, we are very, 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 very lucky to come from where we come from in terms of all the creativity we have access to.
Yeah, like you said, like, I've got a lot of love for all those people who have helped us out, because there is so many, like I said, they're all super talented, and we couldn't have done it without any of those people. Like, everyone who's helped us on our journey has been
couldn't have done it without our town.
Yeah, big time.
And that's what you talk about in Working Man's Town.
Well, that's it, man. I think a lot of the music that we write, and like, you know, Jack, who I'm sure you would, like, next time we do this, and there definitely will be next time if you have us, like, we can talk
damn right.
We can talk about lyrical stuff more, you know, but a lot of those lyrics are, you know, they're about us observational about where we're from, some stuff personal, some stuff everything, but it's just talking about a town you love so much and people that you love so much. And the anger in music can come, often you get more angry about things that happen to the people you love, more than things that happen to you. And if things that happen to a place you love, you know, that's why a lot of our music is angry, because often it's whatever it's about, it's coming from that place.
Yeah, and from a place of like being surrounded by it, you know, like, and like witnessing things, knowing the stuff, you know what I mean? It's like
100%.
The album's just clinical the whole way through. I think it's, and I promise you, I could hear you. These headphones went real loud, even when I was sarcastically getting on the fucking exercise bike, the Boopa Doopy and Jody wanted me to do. But the thing is that this is like a 70 CCM bike. I don't know if the gate's going to crush it or not, but just to.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Come on, you got this, man.
Get those
100 miles an hour.
A little bit of hit training.
Ooh.
The old threshold fall out.
Oh, dear. Oh yeah, I couldn't see what was going on. Go on, pump it. Give it some.
Yeah, man. The cat's completely run away, man.
Whoa, he's going. That's an overload, man.
Tour de Paris, man.
That was 20 miles an hour, lads.
Whoa, mate.
That's fast.
How long would it take you to get to Hastings from Vancouver Island?
Give me 3.5 months.
Can we Google? Right, Google.
Yeah.
That's a serious sign.
Dear Google, how long to... Actually, shit, let's do it right now. We may as well. We got time.
Come on.
How long would it take to cycle to England from Vancouver?
Typing 100,000 miles an hour.
You got a good type on you, man.
Mavis Beacon 2.0. Don't mess about with it. Just embrace it. Unveiling Canada's beauty, an epic 4,600-mile cycle ride. Okay, Google is getting confused because not a lot of people attempt to cycle over open water in an ocean.
Yeah,
but we will find an answer.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, hang on. Oh dear. I'm pretty sure the speedometer on that is very much broken, but 20 miles an hour is nothing to be sniffed at.
Hey, you look like you were going 20 miles an hour, man. You're going for it, man.
Fuck, I missed my calling. I could have been Chris Hoy. Anyway, an Olympic cyclist, for those that aren't familiar with Chris Hoy. A Scottish legend.
Big up Chris.
Big up Chris Hoy.
Didn't think I was going to say those words today, but there you go. Association. Glitterati as well is such a brilliant song.
Yeah.
Mate, that was another one, and I'm not just saying this for the ones, you know, like that came in half a day, man. It was a random one. We had the riff sussed, and when it came out, we were kind of looking at each other, and it was like, I want to comb my hair. And that, it just come as easy as that, man. Those lyrics were flowing, man. Jack just hit that first line and then it was just bang, 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 bang. Songs written. You know what I mean? And that's one where we really believe that, like, we'll play that forever, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm so glad because it was written before the album, you know, it was written in that, you know, your first albums, your whole life up to that moment. But there are songs that are part of that journey that didn't make it. I'm so glad it was part of that.
Oh, man.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a song that, for me, that was the moment where I just kind of like took a step back and I was like, this is Kapichi.
Yeah,
this
man.
is,
It felt
do you know
like
what I
a
mean?
sound,
Like
you
it
know,
was
Yeah.
like, yeah, very big.
It was nice, man. And whenever we play that live, man, people love it, and it's an exciting song to play. Like one thing I will say is, like, in Kapichi, we do like to, like, you know, celebrate ourselves. We self-gas a bit, you know, but we also are our biggest critics. Like in the times leading up to songs we release, man, trust me, it's not not all gas. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's nice to feel
the gas and the like being like yes, like
it's just excitement.
That comes from being excited. And like, you know, when you write a tune, yeah, if you're not gassed, then like what's going on? Like, you want to be producing that music that you're literally going like, oh, like when
I love it. Yeah,
when we're making tunes, we're just jumping and we're all pumped, and so that's where that comes from. But like you said, the self-critic comes in when it comes down to, you know, we got natural.
We got the whole thing, and it's nice to imagine it when you've made it, playing it live, and that's what we've had on this tour. Has been like, you know, getting to live that fantasy that you have when you write these songs. Because we have done the social distance stuff and we have experienced people's reactions. This is the first tour we've had since the album. So it's the first time we're seeing new faces react to the songs, and every fantasy you've had when you're thinking about playing that song live is coming true every night for us on this tour. And it's such a sick feeling,
going
man.
off, man. I wish we could teleport you here for the next one,
man. I would love to.
It's been going crazy, man.
I'd love to. I'd bring Jodie and Harley. We'd grab Alex from Gloucester, and then Carmen would. Yeah, and but what are three moments, or maybe, well, I mean, if three's too many, but just what comes to your mind first of this last week on the road? What are three things that have really stood out to you that you're going to put in that bank of awesome, positive nuggets?
Mate, in Nottingham, man, like, first of all, like, literally, that's like 2 nights ago, man. That was one of Crazy Lights. The Bodega is the name of the venue. And, like, literally, people were jumping. You know how everyone's always like, I thought the floor was going to cave in? Literally, the people downstairs in the bar said the ceiling was bowing down.
Oh, no.
And the front door was swinging open because the air pressure in there, man. The whole place was fucking bouncing,
It was mad. It's one of those ones where you're literally like, there's like electric sparks coming off of everyone, and you're just going like, every time those drops happen, you're literally just like, you're playing the fucking shit, going like, what the fuck?
This paramedic comes up to me at the end and he said, oh yeah, I heard about you guys on Jack Saunders whilst I work on shift, man. And he had a few things for us to sign, and he was just like, we were talking about the bouncing floor, and he was like, you got to go sometime, you know what I mean? It's like, if you at least do something that you love, do you know what I mean? If that's the way you earn, he's like, fair play, man. You can't argue with that, man.
That's just bonkers. Okay, what's another couple? That's a great one to start with.
I would 100% say, I mean, I know what he said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Scala, man.
Scala was absolutely like, that was such a moment. I was just pacing, like, backstage, checking out, like, through the window when, like, Snakes were on, right?
Snakes are so fucking good. Yes,
they're sick, right? So they were playing, and we had Projector, obviously, as well, who were on tour with us.
And the tour you're on, by the way, is fucking dynamite. That lineup is a great focus on modern rock in England right now.
I can't get over, like, what the people are getting their money's worth, right? You know, like, the bands who we're playing with are just insane. So, but I was, like, looking out, and I'm, like, seeing this Scala in London. Who the hell are all these people? And they were all there for doors, man.
Yeah,
it was
man.
so busy. I haven't experienced that level of, like.
We've been at this a long time, man. Like, we were kids when we started, and I'm not afraid to say we ain't kids anymore. You know what I mean? But, like, you know what I mean? Like, the truth of it is, man, it's like these moments really mean a lot, man. And it is the cliche to be like, oh, you know, the fans, blah, blah, blah. But everyone who walks through the door, man, everyone who's in that room sharing that moment with us is sharing that moment with us, because it means everything.
It's a two-way street.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not saying that for any other reason.
Yeah.
It's the truth, man.
What you get back from seeing everyone in the audience is so huge. Like, and talking to just anyone out there who's doing any kind of performance, like music, acting, whatever it is, it's like, that is energy. Like
pure.
like you can play downstairs in my fucking toilet together, and that's fine because we vibe so much. Or you know, whoever we're with Eddie, whoever, we're all just vibing. But when you got those people, man, like
it's crazy.
Love to them, like it's mad. It's mad.
Number three. One more thing that's happened on this tour the whole time, man. It's just been like laughter, man. Like literally, we got the team. We got Bladders, Max, we got fucking Callum on the sound and everything. We got the Boysies. We've had Big Sexy on the dates as well, man. And it's just been pure laughs, man. Will Symes, it's been pure laughs. Like
good crew.
Every day we are just having good times, and that's what feels good as well. Like I said earlier, there's none of that, none of the like, oh, we're on a grind. It's like, mate, we're loving every minute, mate. If this is the job, I'm up for it, mate. Take me. Do you know what I mean? Like this is it. You know, like it's so nice to be back on the road, man. I can't wait for more.
And it's nice to like. Every time we walk into these new venues and you're just meeting the people there, like even like whoever's on sound, whoever, all these different bits, you're just like, I just like meeting new people. Like I'm straight up, like it makes your whole, I feel renewed. I'm like, oh, hello, like it's chat.
Energies.
So.
Yeah, do you take a bottle of wine to every new conversation you have with someone?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, well, I don't think it's unfortunate. It's been delightfully warm. It's been a journey the last hour and a half as there's a little bit more wine goes down, a little bit more red in the face and more smiles from George. No,
come on, man.
Thank you for having us. I mean, I tell you what, we're used to people editing our conversations, so like we just fucking diarrhea.
It doesn't even feel like that long has been passed.
No, I don't, and I really don't edit very much at all. It's cognizant of just being in the moment, and for me, certainly with many of these conversations, they're all from a point of we don't really know who each other are. We have an inkling, we have an understanding, we have an impression, but we don't know how the other one operates. And so what I love about these conversations and why I call them a conversation with is because people see if they're willing to go through the journey. In this case, I imagine I'm not done yet, by the way, but if you want to be, we can be, but I'm not done yet. But what I think is so powerful is people will come in and they'll see, oh shit, look how these people grew into friendship. Look how they grew an understanding and converse with each other. And that, like we've spoken about 45, 50 minutes ago, and how conversation is so crucial and a lot of it doesn't happen. That's why this is important to me, that for the few that stumble across this, and hopefully the many that then in turn stumble across it to then go and buy your records and support you even more and help you grow, is that they're going to see an example of what it is to truly get down and get to know each other. Because one thing that I did not like in my amazing commercial radio career was the simplistic ideology of an interview, in the interviewer, and I say this a lot, and I know I've had DJs and friends of mine in the industry that have pulled me inside and said, stop being a fucking dick. But I'm not. It's my opinion of it, which is that it's too contrived at times, and it's too 1, 2, 3 questions, and crucially, you're expected to answer my question because I'm a journalist. But every relationship between journalists, when I was at Tesco stacking produce shelves 15 years ago, whether you're asking me about fucking apples and gala, every transaction of conversation is from a place of respect and connection. And I feel, and I think you have to connect before you can expect. It's as simple as that. So that's why.
I like
that's
that.
That's
a good rhyme, man. You should get a t-shirt of that. That's not even taking the piss. That's a real nice. Seriously,
you've blown my head, man. That was like, that's 100% true. And people get so, we all do.
Yeah,
I fucking meet people, and I'm like I said earlier, I'm like putting these pressures on, and I'm going like, oh my God, I've got to be like this. But like you said, you have to connect before you can blect. What did you say?
You've got to drink more wine. You must drink more wine, George.
What did you say again?
The wine will help it make sense, George.
Yeah, that's right. Come on. No,
anyway,
seriously, man. Seriously, it's yeah, I think these formats and these new ways of independently broadcasting definitely give way for this type of like more long form. You can say what you want. You can just talk. Like, I think the idea of everything being consolidated into a soundbite isn't necessarily representative of the music people are making now.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily representative of the message that people are trying to convey in music, whatever it is, art, whatever. So I think bring on the age of the podcast, man. To be honest with you, I listen to him all the time. And the longer form, the better. The longer the monologues, the better, mate.
I honestly, in my last few years of commercial radio before I left, if I had a 10-minute interview with someone, I would spend 7 minutes getting to know them and ask them one question.
Yeah,
because
well,
then from
because then you know what the right question to ask is, right?
well, then and then also, but then the thing is, the key is that they feel that they can actually give that. Like, if you think of songs about, if you meet Frank Carter for the first time and say, "Oh, you had a baby, that was difficult. You wrote Lullaby," he'd be like, "Great, cool, it's a song, you fucking prick. What do you want to know?" He's not going to tell you anything else.
Yeah, 100%.
You got to set up the shop. You got to connect, and.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I was thinking of some of my most awesome interviews over the years, but then they've also been with people that have come out of being really horrendous people that have since I've had to like delete it. But
okay. Well, look, one thing I will say is I'm getting the nod from the tour manager. We're on the dining table right now, and I think the food's about to be made ready. So, mate, I'm just wondering if it seems like a cool place. Do you mind if we do this again sometime, and we can maybe call it on the thing? I'm so
no, don't be sorry.
The boys are hungry from tour.
I'm hungry, man.
It has literally been such a pleasure to talk to you, man. I cannot wait to do this again, and I want it with all the boys, man. Thank you so much for having us.
What's for dinner though? What's for dinner?
Yeah, we're making some serious sort of like ragu vibes. I think it's Italian tonight. I couldn't tell you the exact name of the dish. For me, it will be a surprise.
Yeah, I'm very excited, to be honest.
This is amazing that you somehow still, from stage to interview conversation, are finding the way to leave us wanting more, you assholes.
Literally, mate, I know we just said it, but like, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you, man. Like,
it's been
honestly,
a vibe.
Thank you to everyone watching as well, man. And thank you for your support. Thank you for anyone watching who supported. 100%.
Love to you all.
No, this was incredible. People, the chat's going to start to come through now. Jody from upstairs, my partner, saying this was awesome. One thing I will say, so that we acknowledge Savil's comments, saying the White Rock gig was insane. Best night of the year for sure. Any plans again to play in White Rock in the near future? That's the last thing we'll leave with.
We'll be doing local to Hastings bigger shows in 2022, but you got to watch this space to find out exactly what they are, man. Many surprises in the pipeline in the world of Kapichi.
You got a lot coming.
If you're excited
let's just say that, be ready to be excited.
I can't wait to do the adverts for what's your surname again, George?
There's a lot of flames coming.
Oh God, here we go.
George McDonald.
G-Mac, some people call me G-Mac.
Okay, well, we're about 6 months away from me being able to record the advert for. You ever wish to get sloshed up on a winter's night? Get the G-Mac wine. I don't know. I'll flesh it out. We'll flesh it out.
I like it, man.
And you'll be fine.
I'll harvest those grapes.
To your entire team in that room that can hear this right now, you're awesome. And you are in a really special collective of human specimen. And I really appreciate your time. All of you have a most incredible rest of this tour. Go and fucking get it. And you damn right we're going to connect again when the time's right. But there is no rush for that. We'll do it when the time is right.
To the next, man. Thank you so much for having us. And thank you to everyone watching.
All right. Get out there and get your whatever Italian. I've forgotten what it was. All right. Lots of love.
Man. Have a good rest of your day, brother.
Speak to you soon.
Mwah.
Bye. Oh, look at that. Oh, there's two of me. There we go. What an exhilarating conversation that was. Are you kidding me? Man, those two, absolute dynamite, are Ben and George of Kid Kapichi. For me, one of the most exciting bands on the planet right now. It's as simple as that. And you're all gathered here because for the most part, you're familiar with their sounds. You know what they have to offer. But if you're here because you've heard an inkling, a song, a little tidbit, dive into that record, Working Man's Town. This time next year, because it is absolutely scintillating. It is a walking clinic. And what a pleasure to speak with them. What an incredible band. And what a tour with Projector and Snake. I mean, these are three bands right now that are just tearing it up. And what an energy of collective that is to be out there. So, hey, if you're new to What Was That Radio, thank you so much for being here. I would urge you to check out whatwasthatradio.com, where you can dive into discovering maybe your next favorite band, maybe the podcast, to check out other chats I've had with the likes of Black Pumas or Nothing But Thieves or Calvin Louise that's coming out next week. There is a plethora of chats to check out there. There is the Arts Academy if you're within Canada. If you're in Canada and you're 5 and upwards and you want to learn guitar, how to sing, how to songwrite, please check out whatwasthatradio.com/academy and apply for a grant that might see you get 8 hours of paid connection with a professional and a friend of mine that can teach you and help you grow in that regard. There is so much that What Was That has to offer. And I am just fucking pumped right now. This is what I live for, is connecting with people that bring me such thought-provoking creations. and then getting to just divulge and dive deep into how they've created it and structured it and how they go about existing in the first place. And they Instagrammed me a few hours ago and said, you know, Jack's got to rest his vocal because he's been giving it all. I was surprised they even agreed to do it in the middle of a tour. In the middle of a tour with all that emotion. They wanted to connect. But then look at that. Ben and George said, we're going to bring you a show. And they brought us a show. They brought us their souls, their eloquency, their passion, and their charisma. And my God, was that a powerful hour and 40 minutes. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know how I'm going to get any smaller. I don't know how I'm going to come down from this. What the hell? Excuse me? Is there meant to be... Is that where I'm going to? Like down there? Is that... I don't know. Whatever you're doing the rest of your day, look after yourself, and I hope there's some fun and smiles involved in it too, because they are so flipping powerful. The last cheeky thing I'll say is if you've not followed this account yet, please do so if you've got any enjoyment from it. And we're gearing up there. Look, to that side to me. Looking to get to that 50 for affiliate, that I can unlock some emojis and start to get subs to here as well. That's down to you. You will choose what you do and brings you joy always. Please consider a follow. Please consider checking out whatwasthatradio.com. And for now, I'll be back on whatwasthatradio.com tomorrow at 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. and weekdays live for those 3 hours. Pacific time on the west coast of Canada is where I'm based. The next chat here on Twitch, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 squeezed in before this, but with Alan Cross, a walking encyclopedia of modern rock, one of the most famous radio DJs in North America, will join me Wednesday the 17th of November at midday Pacific time. So if you're watching in England, that's I think about 8 or 9 in the evening. All right? Much love to you all. Have an incredible rest of your day. And I'll see you soon.